O Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but if you only say the word, I know my servant will be cured. Now who said these words? These words weren't said by a Jewish person. They were said by a Roman centurion. Now, the Romans had occupied Jerusalem for quite a while. And of course, their purpose for being there was to make sure that there were no riots and there was civil order and no disobedience to the Roman legion, and make sure that the taxes were collected and returned to Rome. And one day, there was a centurion who had a slave who was very ill, almost at the point of death. And he loved this boy. And unlike what we think of as slaves as being so awful, many times slaves were accepted into the family and treated as children, brothers and sisters of the regular family. They were just accepted as one of them. They weren't treated harshly. They were just loved. And when this centurion saw this boy, who he loved dearly, he didn't want him to die, like any good father wouldn't for a child. And so he had heard about Jesus. He never met him. He heard that he was around preaching in the towns and that the Romans weren't happy with him because he was causing civil disorder. But that he knew that he had cured people. He had taken the deaf and made them hear, and the sightless and let them see. And he even went up once and hugged and kissed a leper and cured him. So do you think that he might just be able to cure my son, he said? He said, but I'm not Jewish. And do you think that because I'm not Jewish, he won't help me? I don't know. But I have so much faith that he will, because he's a loving man, will help me. And so he goes to town one day when Jesus is there, and he audaciously gets in front of Jesus and says, Jesus, my servant and slave is very sick, almost dying. And I was wondering if you could just say a prayer for him. And Jesus said to the centurion, oh, I'll be happy to go. And the centurion said, no, 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 Lord, I'm not worthy that you should come under my roof. Only say your word, and my soul, I know, my servant will be healed. And at that point, Jesus looked at the crowd around him and said to all the Jews that were standing there, I have not seen such faith in all of Israel as I have seen in this one man. And he said to the man, go, your servant is healed. And so the centurion leaves, he goes back to his home, and he finds the servant boy cured. And he was immediately converted to follow Jesus and his whole family. And the question is, what happened here? The centurion, who was a very powerful person in the legion at that time, he had over 100 men in his battalion, and his job was to make sure that he led them. And he knew the power of a word, because he could say to his men, do this, and they would do it, or come here, and they'd come, or bring me this, and they'd bring it. Whatever his command was, they would fulfill it. And he knew that Jesus had a powerful word, far more powerful than he could ever imagine. And that was the word of healing. And so when he goes to Jesus and he says, your word is what I would trust, we have to do the same. We have to do what we believe in. And we have to believe in the word of Jesus. And Jesus does have the word of healing. We only have to trust. And like that, we have to be believing, because without faith, we have nothing. Everything that we see here is an illusion. All of life is just a test. And so we need faith to see beyond, because it's what's beyond that's going to last forever, not what we have here. So we must be like the centurion. We must be humble. We must go and put ourselves before the Lord, just as he did. And we must be believing, and we must accept the word.